I have the most random question to ask you. And I thought about it before I was falling asleep. And oftentimes that can elicit some great life questions. So as I was falling asleep, I thought to myself, human beings are the combination of two other human beings, correct?
As I understand it.
Science. When somebody is born, we know that they have a predetermined amount of time on this planet, right?
Well, we know that they are going to live and die.
Correct.
Okay.
Here's the question for you.
All right.
If in theory we knew, kind of conceptually, cosmically, that every individual had a set amount of years on this planet.
Are they all the same, or we just?
Well, we know they're not all the same because people are constructs of different people, right?
Okay.
But if we knew, for instance, you had 97 years guaranteed to you simply because of the combination of DNA that exists within you.
Right.
No outside factors inhibiting that 97 years.
Right.
How often do you think individuals live their most full life? So what I'm saying is, so they don't die because of cancer. They don't die because of COVID. They don't get in some freak accident. They live the fullest amount of years promised to them. Because I think somebody like Isabel, Grandma Isabel, I genuinely think she lived the fullest amount of life she could on this earth. Her body was going to be given 96 years. She lived all 96 years. She was ambulatory. She was conscious. She could have conversations. She was put together. She looked like the best version of herself when she was 96 years old. And she passed away peacefully in her sleep because her body said, this is all we were promised.
Yeah, okay.
And now we're good.
Okay.
How often do you think people live to their fullest allotted amount of time?
Okay, a couple of questions because I want to be clear on this.
Yes.
All right. So let's just say, for the sake of discussion, that when I'm born, when I come out of the womb, I have a 97 in my palm.
Okay.
Okay. So I know. My parents know.
Yeah. They know that you are guaranteed 97 years.
Okay. Now, if I were to become a drug addict, do I shorten it?
Of
possibly?
course. Of course you do.
Okay. So I could die at 18.
Absolutely. You are literally injecting poison into your body.
Okay. So let's say that I got in an accident.
Yeah.
And I was like a paraplegic afterwards.
Okay.
I could still live a full life being a paraplegic.
But is it the full life promised to you on birth?
So then, okay, now let's go back a little before birth even.
Take it back.
What is the promise? Define the promise for this definition. But
that's the thing we don't know. It's this. It's that if the world was the utopia, that was the construct 1,000 years, right? If that was the case.
Yeah.
And human beings were human beings.
Yeah.
And somebody procreated and that baby was born.
Yeah.
All things being equal, that baby has a determined amount of time on this planet.
So the 97 years, what they are, is an opportunity.
Right.
But
they're
not
just
a guarantee.
Right. The cosmos lined up and said to you before you were born, as whatever deity you believe in injects your soul into you, it says, it whispers in your ear, I'll see you again in 85 years.
Oh God, would that be the sweetest message?
But then the world happens. You have toxins, you have pollution, you can ingest good food, bad food. You can just be living your life and get hit by a freaking car.
Okay,
right?
So those you are still susceptible to all of those things.
Of course, I mean, we're just living normal life. But I sat there and I thought, and I tried to Google this, and turns out you can't Google it. How often do people live to the fullest amount of life?
Okay, I have an answer. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say that my best thinking, I believe, is right before I go to sleep. Of course. And in the shower in the morning. Those two places.
There are people who say the smartest thing you can do is leave a notepad and pencil next to your bed before you go to sleep and write everything down. You write everything down, whether it makes sense or not. And when I was doing stand-up comedy and my brain was just constantly in comedy mode, I would do that religiously. And then the fun part was rereading it and having no idea what I meant.
Oh, okay.
I would be like, Kevin Bacon Footloose in a Subway? Like, what was I thinking?
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so here's what I think. I think at our core, we're still human, right? We're still who we are.
Facts.
Okay. One of the things, and even think, like, I want you to think about this at your age right now.
Okay.
So you still, I mean, you're young, you're strong, you're agile. I know you like to whine and complain about all your little aches and pains and stuff.
It's true.
But still, you can still do everything. If you wanted to go climb a mountain, you could. You're perfectly capable.
I mean,
all right?
I could start. Whether I'd finish climbing that mountain or fall to my death, that's up for debate.
Here's the thing. I think youth squanders time.
Okay. I don't know where you're going, but keep going.
So I think youth squanders time. I think what you're talking about, and I do love the whisper part of the story. You have no idea how much I love that. I do think that then we come to this earth and there is, unless we live in some cute little village in Tibet, do you know what I mean? There is a way that we live in the Western world, right?
Yep.
And so I think mostly youth is not as present as it should be. And they squander time. And in the squandering of time, they put themselves at risk.
But define squandering time, because I think what I'm assuming is like you're just saying, well, kids sitting in front of the television.
Well, if you said to me right now, for instance, Deb, I mean, if you just promised me, I'm 67. If you promised me 30 more years and I knew I would get them and I knew I wouldn't be an invalid and I knew I wouldn't be in a wheelchair, I knew I would feel, I'm just going to say, no worse than I feel today.
Fair.
I would, but yet life could get me if I wasn't careful. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you're just explaining life right now.
No, but what I would do is I would be so grateful, so appreciative.
That's not what I'm asking.
No. I would be, and I don't mean live carefully. I would live life to its fullest, embracing these 30 years. I don't think youth can do that.
I'm not, you're tangenting. You're Deb tangenting, and I need you to listen to me. I need you to listen. This is not meant to be some esoteric thing about living life.
I feel stupid.
How many times in humanity, you, me, Dad,
I get
the
to
neighbors.
Live to the potential.
No, not potential. Just the years promised.
No.
What?
It's not going to be a very big number, very big percentage.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the question.
No, it's not.
Just because the answer isn't going to be great doesn't mean I don't want to ask the question.
So what I did is I gave you the why before I gave you the answer. No, I think it's still mostly factors out to be the same. And meaning with the promise or without. I think it mostly
What are you talking about?
I think if God whispers, I'll see you in 97 years.
Yeah.
Right? And then throws me into this human experience. I think the possibility of me really living 97 years is the same as if I had the promise or not.
That's not what I'm asking you.
What are you asking?
I'm saying...
Be with me here, people. Are you?
No.
I think
everybody understands what I'm saying.
No, they don't.
If you are guaranteed no more than 97 years, but you can clearly live less than 97 years because there are a ton of unforeseen circumstances that can inflict themselves on you. How often do people live their full amount? How often do people live the entirety of the years that were promised to them? Because I would say it's like 3%. 3% of the people are born, told by God, 85 years, and then live for 85 full years.
Oh, no, I'm with you. We're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying like hardly anybody. So like, I think 3% was really low. I was going to go with like 12%.
No chance.
I think and that's why I think we squander it all. We screw it up somehow.
No, if you're saying squander, I mean like ingesting alcohol, taking drugs, people who go base jumping.
Mindless eating. So you're not eating well. Do you know what I mean? For your body type or whatever that is, not enough. And I'm just going to say all the other things that we really know contribute to a long life. Like, you read things like people that have dogs live longer. People that have great social connections live longer. People that are well-traveled live longer, meaning they see. So I think all of that, if you're not doing all of that, then, and we know as human beings, we don't do all of that, right? we do it at certain stages of our lives. We embrace that more than others. But I think it goes back to like a low number, sadly.
I think it's extremely low. And it is sad because I think there are so many things that contribute to a shorter life cycle than anticipated that we have no control over. One being inhaling smoke, the other being just people encompassing the same space as us who may or may not care about their lives the way that we do.
I mean, if you think about all the things, and lately I've been thinking about all the things we think is a good thing, only to find out later it's a bad thing. So you did this thing for 10 years.
That's literally your generation. Your generation was told all these things that were okay. Yeah. Cereal. Think about cereal. Think about a morning breakfast. You gave kids whole milk over sugar, and then we're like, chase this down with a liquid glass of sugar too. And that's a full meal.
And here's a Pop-Tart to walk to school with.
Just put it in the toaster. It's healthy.
Put it in the toaster. Well, it's terrible without the toaster.
It's delicious, but it's dessert. You're starting the day with dessert.
And then the whole thing, you wouldn't have remembered this, but low fat, just eat low fat.
I know about that.
Which all that did was carb you up.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's all it did. So but even things like this, like I want to say chemicals that we cleaned with, that we should never have ingested.
Yeah, I'm sure that you're rubbing asbestos and DEET on your face at some point in the 60s.
Oh, 100%. And then I can, okay, here's a good one. My mom, my mother did tan well. Okay, like I burn.
All the good ones do.
Yeah. And here was her thing, Deb, the best suntan no, she would call this lotion, right?
Olive oil.
Lotion, yeah, is baby oil mixed with a little white iodine.
So 0 SPF. What even is SPF in those days?
Basting a turkey. What are you talking about?
I mean, I'm sure she used a real baster at some point.
You know how the turkey comes out looking
crispy golden.
Crispy golden. But guess what? It doesn't look good when that turkey sits around for 10 years. No, right?
that turkey's not eaten immediately. Nobody wants to see it the next day.
Exactly. So it is all those kinds of things that you did to yourself that, you just go, oh dear Jesus, help me. But Kevin, you have made me already today, like I have this little joy going on in my heart because the thought of God going, see ya in 97 years is so fabulous to me. It warms the cockles of my heart and everything else. It is encouraging. I don't care if people aren't going to live their maximum. That part I loved.
And I'm over here being super duper depressed, thinking that humanity doesn't live as long as it should and that nobody lives up to their full potential. But I'm 37 years old saying that, and I live with my parents. Let's start the podcast.
Welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. One is a Harvard Business School alum. The other is her son, discussing business, pop culture, family, and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Deb and Kev.
Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. Sitting across from me, if she was a Ben & Jerry's flavor, she'd be chocolate chip cookie Dobra.
Ooh.
It's my mom, Deb.
I'm Deb.
And I'm a softie for some froyo. I'm her son, Kev, and this is our podcast. By the way, coming up with a Ben & Jerry's pun name for Kevin as it relates to ice cream.
Just doesn't work.
Not as easy as you would think. On today's show, in her business segment, Deb continues with her 5-part series as she tackles the topic of what to do when you're feeling stuck, when you're mentally feeling stuck at work. And I've amassed 3 brand new questions for dear Debbie, and we'll wrap this whole thing up like a Taco Bell burrito crunch wrap supreme. I wrote it, I couldn't read it, when we share with you what we are thankful for and what's for dinner. But first, Deb, we have talked about the great resignation that is happening all over the country.
Everywhere. I mean, now you know that it's really a thing. It's been given a name when you can Google the Great Resignation and tons of articles pop up.
One of the things that I love to see is when the masses do this, the smart people do that.
Yeah.
And now can I share with you a new term that is rising up out of mass resignations?
Tell me.
Overemployed. Do you know what overemployed means?
No, I don't know that definition.
So, with all of the craziness that has happened in the last 18 months, people are leaving jobs. People are staying home. Jobs are hiring, jobs are firing, and there's kind of a lot of chaos, right? But one of the fringe benefits for some industries, like tech, like finance, is you are now operating entirely from home. You're autonomous. Yes, you have meetings. Yes, you have emails, but you're really just by yourself in your home for the majority of your work experience. So what people have started to do is they say, I'm not leaving my 40-hour a week job. In fact, I don't even know that I'm actually working 40 hours a week with this job.
I think I know where you're going.
I'm going to go get a second full-time job.
So, Kevin, do you remember at the beginning of COVID, you and I talked about this exact thing, but we didn't call it overemployed. We didn't know. But everybody got sent home and was working from their house.
True.
And a lot of people had never, I'm going to say had the privilege, because I like that, right? Had the privilege of working away from an office.
True.
So they're figuring it out, learning how to do it. One of the things that I said to you, I remember specifically, we were in the kitchen talking about this. The first time that I ever worked remotely, you were in, I don't know, 3rd or 4th grade. So you were young.
Yeah.
And it was novel. I mean, that was somewhat novel. And a lot of times you'd see sales reps in territories live away from the home office, wherever that is. And I can remember the first few weeks working, thinking, no water cooler talk, no coffee talk, no people just coming to BS with you.
Yeah, not having to get in my car to go to lunch.
Not having to get in my car. I mean, we always, and we've said this ad nauseum, get up and get showered and get ready. But I mean, there's still a different kind of getting ready here than getting ready to go.
Yep.
You don't take an hour for lunch because you just grab a snack.
Right.
I mean, it is just entirely different. And I can remember saying at that time, thinking, I could take my 8-hour day. On a good day, could squish it into 4 hours, but easily on a regular day, squish it into 6.
Yeah.
So, and some of the times what I would do, because I wanted to be available to you in the morning before you went to school, and I wanted to take you to school, and I wanted to pick you up. So you went to school from 9 to 3. So that's a 6-hour day for me to work. So I would work hard during that 6 hours. If there was more, then I would wait until I put you to bed and do it, right?
Yep.
But I can remember saying to you at the beginning of COVID when we were talking about this, depending on the job and depending on how much is required, somebody could go get a couple jobs and nobody would ever know.
And that's exactly what's happening. Now, of course, if you have a job like customer service,
you're stuck on the phone.
You can't do this. Yeah. And this is a very Gen Z thing, which is, hey, we're going to take something that's been happening throughout life, people working multiple jobs, give it a fun new nickname, but then really only apply it to the industries that can allow it to happen, right? So these people, in theory, just have multiple jobs, right?
Right.
But they're in industries that reward them financially. Because there are people, there's a website called Overemployed.com.
What?
Oh, yeah. Now, it's not anything more than a Discord for people to be able to share their experiences, to kind of help each other navigate what overemployment means, but also for them to share like potential job listings that if you are told you have 40 hours a week, but this is really only 25 hours a week, you can add this to the mix. And the numbers that are coming out from these users is like, somebody said, yeah, I'm working 100 hours a week, but I'm fine because I'm making $700,000 a year. So I can burn the candle at both ends for at least a year or two. And now I've put myself 6 years ahead of where I would have been financially. Then there's other people who are saying, I took on 2 jobs doing the exact same thing for competing companies.
Oh my God.
And they've been really like honest about not sharing anything, no secrets. But they're like, I still have more bandwidth. That if I want to work a true 40-hour week, I can go pick up a 3rd job and add to my income. Like, it's insane. It's absolutely incredible. And I'm sure somebody would look at this and say, like, well, it's capitalist at its finest. And other people would say, isn't it sad that we have to work this many jobs? And I'm saying, listen, these people who are in these industries are typically, money motivated. and understand that if I can do this for this company, I can do the exact same thing for this company. And they're just utilizing the information that they know, and they're not manipulating the system, but they're looking around and saying, well, what does it matter? If I'm willing to work 12 hours a day for two different companies and they're both happy with my work, and nowhere in the middle shall they meet, then that's just a big thumbs up for your boy.
Well, and here's one of the things that happens that is different from going to a place to work and working at home. You know, when you go to the place and you've got to lug your stuff there and lug your stuff out, and, you know, if it's like a downtown environment, the lugging can be a while. I mean, let's be honest, okay? So then you get home and you're just tired. Forget the day. You're just tired from the lugging to get home. The commute, the stuff you've got with you, you know, whatever all that is. When you're working from home, you can go, oh, I start the grocery list. Do I know what we need? I see what we're running out of. I can throw a load of laundry in.
Yep.
I can fold laundry while I'm doing this. I mean, there are things that you get into a cadence of being able to do a lot of time while you work.
Yep.
Right. And so there's really, even though you've worked really, really hard, there's none of that end of the day like, oh, dear God, I have to have a drink or I'm going to die, right? At least I don't feel like that working from home. Do you? Ever?
No, I don't think like that at all.
No.
And what I think is that the people who are doing this are saying, if I can do both of these careers at the same time, then I actually don't have to go shopping. I can feel comfortable, like, doing an Instacart for my groceries.
Right.
I don't have to go do laundry. I'll just have a service come pick it up and deliver it back off, right? They're saying instead of having to do any of the menial domestic stuff, I'm making so much money now doing this that I can farm that out, which then allows me to take on more responsibilities.
And in most cases, there would be some people who would say, yeah, but now look what you've done. You've spoiled yourself and you've created additional expenses, so you've got to keep the machine going. However, if you do it right, you're always making more money per hour than you're paying per hour. Does that make sense?
Of course.
For those services.
Of course.
If you're doing it wrong, then you're doing it wrong. But I think there's a thing there. And I think especially for young people, because let's be honest, we have made it nearly impossible for a generation or two to buy a house without help.
Totally.
I mean, meaning family help.
1,000%.
And so if someone says, I'm going to do this for a couple of years and I'm going to make, this huge income, and I mean, I'm going to sock the money away so that I can buy a house, you don't have to do it forever. I mean, you're still going to buy a house that you can afford with a normal income.
I'm absolutely with the guys who are saying, like, I know this isn't sustainable and I know that I can't possibly work at this level long term, but being able to do it now allows me the freedom I want in the future to recoil back to just one job, or to be able to say, I have so much money saved away. I can travel, I can start my own business, I can do things that weren't afforded to me if I was just going to stick to my one career choice. I'm trying to find a term for it, because it's not that it's brilliant, but it's just, it's so societal right now, right? It's just it was this perfect zig to the zag of the economy, which was everybody leaving because they're just exhausted or there's so many different opportunities for them. And other people saying, I'm not going to leave this job. I'm going to tack on another job. And then other people are using it in this really brilliant way of saying, I'm not in love with my job right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go try to get jobs I would like, work those jobs, see if there's anything better. And now I have another lily pad to jump to if I really want to bail on my first job.
So interestingly enough, because I think when we talk about the Great Recession, the real question has been, how do these people live? That's the question, right? Because we assume they're all not working. And I think
the Great Resignation.
The Great Resignation. And I'm sorry, you're right.
No, recession, resignation, depression, it's all the same thing.
So that comes up. I know I heard this one young woman interviewed, and she had to stay home. Her husband I think her husband was in medical, so he didn't have the option to stay home. Right. And she could with her job. Maybe she was a CPA or lawyer or something. But she still had her job. And now she's got their 3 kids at home who weren't going to school. So she's taking care of all of that.
Yep.
And she said through all of that, I mean, she enjoyed the children more than she ever dreamed she would staying at home. So then that, created conflict with her. And so she sat down and she literally went through the last 2 years of all the clothes she had purchased for her type of work, right? All the money she'd spent. I mean, like, you got to get your hair done. You got to get your nails done. Went through all the child care expenses, added all that up. She took all that and subtracted all that off. Like, if that didn't exist, how much would I have to work?
All the expenses tied to showing up to a physical location.
Yep. So everything, and because she felt she had to look a certain way, wear certain clothes, the car, the parking, all of that. And then all of the, I'm going to say, after school or preschool care for the children and all of that.
Yep.
So she added all of that up. She subtracted it from her income, her annual income. And then she knew that's what she still needed to make, what was left over,
right,
that their household needed it, right? Then she went through and did a second thing. Like, I think they took fairly, I'm going to say, extravagant vacations and stuff. Like, well, what if we just decided that car vacations, or if you live on the West Coast vacations are fine? I mean, what if we still have our vacations, but we downsize them? Yeah. She did all that. And it turned out, she said, she could literally work 3 to 4 hours a day, like just farm herself out per diem to somebody, and still have the exact same life.
Amazing.
And be with her children, right?
Yep.
Which is what she decided she wanted to be. And so she resigned from her job and immediately immediately gave them a portfolio of what she would still do, what she thought was the most important things. And they hired her back per diem, hourly, to do those things. And she's as happy as can be. So I think people are not necessarily totally quitting. I don't think that that's happening, but I think they're finding different ways to do it.
I love it. I just think it's great. I think it's a way to juke the system. I think it's a way to get yourself ahead in life. And I think it's a way to combat the chaos that is trying to get ahead in this world.
I know. And what is getting ahead?
I don't even know.
And I think the one thing I do want to say about your generation and Gen Z is I do think you're redefining that for us in a beautiful, beautiful way. Are there always going to be people who want McMansions and impress themselves and others with all of that? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. Those people are always going to exist. But you see more and more and more, like, remember when tiny houses first came out?
Oh, yeah.
And initially it was like, boy, that's small.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But now you see them where they've just added, I'm going to say, an extra 100 square feet, which is nothing. So they're still fall into the definition of tiny houses. But now you say, I really could live in that.
Right.
I mean,
and in
fact, it's amazing.
And then we'll take it one step further and just all the conversion vans and school buses where people are saying, not only do I not need to live in somewhere stationary, I'm going to combine a vehicle and my home and go live my best, most full life. If you're telling me that some of these people who are overemployed also live in school buses and conversion vans, I mean, honestly, that's the biggest life hack going on right now. Those people, they have a license to print money, go live their most full personal lives, and do whatever the hell they want to do.
Well, it was funny because I just saw one on Instagram the other day that was, I mean, I would have lived in it in a heartbeat.
Sure.
It was gorgeous, right? And she did everything. She opened all the cabinets so you could see. And it looked to me that she had place settings for 4. So she had 4 cups, 4 plates, 4 bowls. I mean, the entirety, but for 4. And I started thinking about it and thought, 4 works. I mean, the truth is 4 works.
Of course.
If you just keep up with your dishes. I mean, there are dishes every once in a while we use all of our dishes.
Right.
Like the dishwasher is full. But we never use all of the glasses. We never usually use all of the cups. We never use all of the bowls. I'm just talking about
And that's
plates.
not even counting the fine china.
Well, and then we've got how many sets of that, right? I mean, we could house several households.
So
Please call me if you're interested in dishes. I'll help you out.
Oh, yeah.
But the point being is, you buy it in sets of 8. And now if we divide that by 2 and take 2 households, right?
Yep.
Because for you, like you have this is super cute in the morning, tangent. He has a coffee cup that he loves.
4 of them, technically.
Don't you have 8?
No, 4. Oh, there's 8, but there's only 4 in rotation.
Okay, did you hear that, ladies? Only 4 in rotation. So I bought him these cups for Christmas because he really wanted them. They're very, very nice. They're put somewhere where Daddy can't use them.
Nope.
And you only have put 4. Is that true? You're only using 4?
Oh yeah, I mean I only use 1 a day, so I don't need multiples. So 4 is the max.
So I bought you 8. 4 have never been used.
Correct. They are safely stored away.
And 4 you use.
Correct.
So
every 4th day 1 gets used.
Every 4th day 1 gets used. So you wash them every day and put them back.
Yep.
It's that I'm telling you, you're doing it. I mean, you're doing
well, and that's just
hard.
That's a luxury, right?
Right.
And because I hand wash it, I actually would only need 1.
Yeah.
But I just want to spread it around.
Yeah. Really, I have to say this. Less is more. I'm
totally
all about it. Yeah.
I'm with you 1,000%. And I think this is actually a fantastic segue into your business segment, which is we're talking about the Great Resignation. We're talking about people adding more to their professional lives because they have the opportunity and the means to. And I think this now dovetails into, well, what is the origin of people doing that? And a lot of times, and we're seeing it transparent today, people just feel stuck at work. They have no earthly idea what to do. Go left, go right, change their career, go up, go down, talk to somebody, give their 2 weeks notice, try to be in a different department, try an entirely different industry. They're just stuck. And with so many options, I think options tend to be paralysis for a lot of people. So Deb, in the second part of a 5-part series, talk to us about getting yourself unstuck at work.
So this is, I really truly want to say this. This is just from my experience from working with people.
Of course.
So I'm sure you can Google 1,000 other answers out there. And if you're interested in doing that, please do so.
But it's not nearly as fun to Google answers when Deb can just give them to you.
When I can just give them to you. So there are, I'm going to say 3 reasons, but one's kind of a little side thing. Really 2 reasons that I think people get stuck in work. The third one, which I'll say. And
third first?
Third first.
Third, which is a side thing first.
The side thing, because we're not going to spend much time on it. I do think when people have, I'm going to say, overwhelmingly horrible things going on in their life, and I'm talking their personal life, right? Just overwhelmingly life tragedy kind of things. I think that can cause you to get stuck, mostly because you are not present there. Do you know what I mean? This thing is, and I'm not talking about breaking up with your boyfriend. Do you know what I mean? I'm just talking about like a really severe family illness or, a parent dealing with a very sick child, something like that.
Anything that may happen for you to not live your full life that was promised to you by God before you were born on earth.
Exactly. That kind of thing. I think what ends up happening is that they're not mentally present when they're there.
Sure.
And then often they're literally not there.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that causes them to not know their position anymore, if you will. And things are happening when they're not there. Things are happening when they're there and they're not thinking about it, but they're not in the flow anymore.
Yep.
They've gone out. They've kind of gone outside. So one of the things that I often say when somebody is in that kind of situation, and I know people in that situation need money, we want them to be able to work and earn an income. But I also think we have to say, what can we do for you while you go through this life tragedy or whatever it is, okay? Yep. So that is one thing, but that's like a separate, isolated thing.
Got it.
The 2 things that I think really, really contribute to people getting stuck is one, I'm going to just say boredom.
For sure.
And then the other is being truly overwhelmed. So let's talk about boredom first.
So 2 extremes is what you're saying.
2 extremes.
I have nothing to do. I hate this job because I stare at the wall and everybody's putting everything on my desk. I feel like I'm running in the red the second I walk in the door.
So it's not even nothing to do because we all have different personality types of things we like. So one of the things I often ask when I feel like people are stuck is I'll say, and I don't usually say, are you bored? I think what I say is there a lot of repetition in your job?
Ah, that's good.
Because for me, repetition is like, shoot me, kill me.
We've said it before. That's why I could never be a baker.
It would just kill me. And yet I do think there are people that thrive on it. That look at if you talk about a baker, every little cupcake and go, that's perfect. I did it again.
Yeah. It's a small challenge to get it right every single time.
Every single time. And I do think companies are realizing that actually they can do assessments on that to see who likes that or not. But I know I've even worked with doctors where I've said, I mean, especially if you're a specialist. Have you seen it all? Probably. Have you done it all? Probably. And now you're going to do it a million more times. And so unless the doctor is really tapped in to the care portion, meaning I see you individually and I want to help you and I want to get you through this, because then that puts meaning on it, right?
Yeah.
The repetition of it could be a killer. Now, people will say to me, Deb, every job has repetition. Well, of course, every job has repetition, 100%. But if you need variety and your job is mostly repetition, if I'm the girl at the...
Well, why can't I just say, if you're a business coach,
right,
your repetition is constantly having conversations about people's business. But within those conversations is the difference of business to business, industry to industry. And while you might ultimately be giving the same advice when it's all said and done, you're getting there in different routes that make those conversations fun and interesting every time.
Well, and they're different people. I mean, they're
Totally.
entirely different people. So you're right. I could be. But I mean, one of the things that I pride myself on is bringing, like, I mean, this is my caring part, right? If I were a doctor, I try to bring my, I'm going to say, positive outlook, enthusiasm, my expertise, right? So that they will see that this challenge or whatever it is they're going through, that like, oh, we've got this. This is doable. Do you mean to get them to that place to then get over the hurdle,
Yep.
right? And that's different for every single person. So that doesn't feel, to me, repetitive, right?
Of course
That's
not.
the story I tell myself, and that works for me.
Agreed.
So I think repetition is a big thing. And so what do you do? Like, I mean, I guess if you work in a factory, I don't know that I can help you. Do you know what I mean? Other than I do think if you know that repetition is a problem and you work in a factory, you need to let your boss know, I'd like to be on this line for a couple of months. After I master that, can I go do, you know what I mean? Like, so there's some kind of variety
Sure.
to look forward to. You know, for a regular job, I think it is, you know, really trying to do your regular job, you know, good, fast, get it done, because then I would say create some opportunity for project time for you where you could go to your boss and say, hey, I've got a little bit of extra time I'd love to do. And really, you know what's going on in your company. Ask them for a thing. I'd love to help with that little marketing widget over there if I could.
Yep.
Or I'd love to help with this thing over there. The other thing that does, it gets you noticed. It gets you out of your normal daily, you know, and it gets you into the fray of the bigger workplace, if you will. So I think that's one good way to get you unstuck, is to really ask yourself, is the repetition of this job, has it now gotten to me? What can I do to spice it up a little bit? You know, because we have control of ourselves. And one of the things that this segment is about is it's about us, right? And here's what we know. I have the greatest influence and the greatest control over me, and I own my reactions to everything. So at that point, it's your time to not just say, this job is miserable, I hate it, it's boring, and I hate the people that manage me because they don't give me anything fun to do, when you, in fact, you were hired to do this.
Right.
You know, start doing that job. I'm going to say maybe at a new speed. Do you mean start doing it? I don't care if you want to stay a little bit extra after work or stay in at lunch a little bit. I mean, just to get your hands on some new kind of work so that you can be perceived differently. If it truly is the end for you, then that, I mean, meaning like this is what it is,
Sure.
it is,
Yeah.
then it's time to really take a good inventory of yourself, take what you learned from it, do a new resume, and then make sure you don't make that same mistake in your next job. Don't go, I mean, if a waitress is tired of the repetition of waitressing, right? Because that can be repetitious.
Yep.
Going and getting a job at another restaurant isn't going to change it up, right? She needs to really make a change in her life.
Even going to Sonic Burger where they have rollerblades isn't going to be any better.
It's not going to be any better. I mean, maybe for a day or two, or maybe it's going to be way worse.
Yeah, especially if you're not
a good
coordinated.
rollerblader. I know, that would be bad. So, and then on the other side, I think the overwhelmed piece, because, everybody is different when they're overwhelmed. I mean, some people can dig in and grind and work and work and work. But what happens is they don't get the pleasure, the satisfaction of seeing the output because all they can see is what's in front of them, what keeps coming.
Correct.
And so they really are robbing themselves of the joy of the work because they're just on a grind, right? And so I think one of the things we have to do and we have to say to people is, I need help, and I know recently I was talking to somebody that I work with, and there was a lot of, I'm going to say some repetitive work going on, but I said, Kevin could do this. Do you care if I use, because, it's a client. Do you care if I use Kevin? And they were like, oh no. Well, that just, freed it up for me because I knew I could put some of that on your plate to do, and that you would be, and it would be new work for you. You would be happy to do it. So I do think on the overwhelmed thing, even if we're overwhelmed, we have to remember that we own it. We own our being overwhelmed. If you think about drowning, you just don't go down quietly. You got to scream for help. And I think, if you're working in a place that can't hear that scream, that's a different topic, right? For a different day, because you know where I'm going to go with that. But you have to really say, I need help. I might only need help for this week, or I might only need help for this month, but I need help, right? Because we've got a bigger agenda to get all this out. The other reason I need help is because I want to feel good about working here again, and I am stuck in this. And when you're stuck, there's things you're not taking care of. You cannot be stuck and not drop balls. It's impossible. You will drop them. So you owe it to yourself, whether you're bored or whether you're overwhelmed, to go to, I think sometimes it starts with your peers to get help. And then if not, going to your boss to get help so that things can be realigned. Because I know I'm working with a couple of companies now. They were doing some hiring. And I said, you need more than 2. You need more than 1. You need, 5 people left. Why are we only replacing them with 1? And business has been a little slow. No, business isn't 5 times slower.
Because the business is only at 20% of what it was. We got much bigger conversations to have.
Exactly. And so, no, we need to at least get 2 people. I get that you don't want to get 5, but we need to at least get 2. And so I think sometimes the hierarchy misses a little bit of this because they're not in, the muddy water that you're in, right? Yep. And you have to be able to advocate for yourself, and especially in the stuck arena. Everybody knows what boredom feels like. Take inventory. If it is due to repetition, it is due just because you were burned out on that work. You are the one that's responsible for fixing it. And if it's overwhelmed and you don't ask for assistance, then, you're just going to stay there forever. And then you will leave. And here's the problem. You will probably leave and take the wrong job because you're too exhausted to really figure out what it is you love and what it is you want to do. And in both of those cases, if you're feeling boredom or if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're not going to be in the mindset to, number 1, be able to sell yourself effectively, but number 2, to be able to possibly take the risk for a new opportunity. So you have to fix it where it is, meaning fix you.
Nothing I can add. That was great. What a hell of a monologue, Deb.
Are you happy with that?
I was fantastic.
Okay,
I think everybody can identify with both being overwhelmed and both being bored, and it's self-reflection as to why you're bored and why you're overwhelmed, and then being your own advocate on either end of it without just saying, I hate this job, I want to burn it down and go get something that will ultimately be the exact same thing because you haven't addressed it.
Because when we burn it down, when we do that, and let's say we're making $20 an hour and we do that, we just go look for $20 an hour as fast as we can.
Yeah.
And we don't do all the homework that we should do about really finding that space that would offer us a good opportunity and not work us to death, right?
I'm with you 1,000%. I picked questions for Dear Debbie that would kind of be similar to what we're talking about right here. So I don't know that it's going to be a 1-in-1, but I think that you'll have at least it'll resemble somebody who may be stuck or who may be overwhelmed or who may just be contemplating a new direction in life. Okay. Question number 1, Dear Debbie, I have a great job that has good benefits. The job itself isn't what I would want to do forever, but I'm comfortable. Recently, there were proposals for the reduction of our benefits. Some of those proposals were passed, which resulted in the loss of those benefits. Now I worry that I could potentially lose more than what I'm willing to live with. At this point in my life, I'm at a crossroads. Should I continue on my current path because I'm comfortable, or should I start searching for a career that entertains my true interests, especially since the benefits here aren't guaranteed anyways?
So I have a couple feelings about this person.
Oh, Deb might be a little spicy towards this person.
It feels there's a little gimme on here. Is there?
Well, I don't know that I see gimme. They're saying like, I wasn't really sold on this job to begin with. Like, I don't see myself doing this as a career for 20 years, but the benefits allowed me to rationalize that in my head. And now that rationalization has been shrunk in half. Do I now take this as the opportunity to leave and go pursue something I want? Or do I just keep holding on to this thing because it's what I know?
So here's the problem with getting comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Is getting comfortable. What is that? It's that story of the frog comfortable in the warm water, right? You mean, and then eventually he's boiled to death, right? Because he doesn't see. I mean, I think that getting comfortable can be very dangerous. Now, are there places in job where I always say it's so sucky to be new at a job or new in a company, because you just don't, even if you know the work, you don't know how that company does the work. You don't know the culture of that company. So being brand new just sucks in the beginning. Should there be a place where you arrive and you start where it's all starts feeling comfortable? Yes.
Sure.
But if you're sitting in a puddle of comfortable, I'm not sure that that is always right, because I think in a job, we want to be challenged, right? We want to grow. We want to learn new things. So comfortable, at least for me, isn't my thing, right? I mean, feeling comfortable.
It's like the old adage, hungry dogs run faster.
Right.
And hogs get slaughtered.
Is that it?
Well, I know hungry dogs run faster is definitely something people say when you're desperate, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not comfortable. You're trying to go feed yourself because you're starving. And if you're a wolf, you're going to die if you don't eat.
Right.
But the ones who are fed, the ones who are high on the hog, the ones who are fat, dumb, and happy, they get slaughtered.
Thanks for the explanation on that.
Sure.
I like that. So there was a line that you read where he said about going to the new company.
Oh, we're assuming it's a guy. I read it as a woman.
Oh, I read it as a guy.
Hilarious.
Okay, where she said, where they said about the going to the new company. Read what that part was to me.
At this point in my life, I'm at a crossroads. Should I continue on my current path because I'm comfortable, or should I start searching for a career that entertains my true interests?
Entertains my true interest. Not sure that's that's not sure that's. I get what he's saying. He, she, they. I get what they're saying, but that's not really the job of an employer to do that.
No, but I mean, this is how I interpret it, and I love that I thought this was a really benign question, but here we go. Our interpretations as a boomer and as a millennial. I think what they're saying is, should I go pursue my passion of, I don't know, art, which fuels my soul and makes me feel purposeful, and if I can get paid for it, even better. Or they say, hey, maybe they can write code. Maybe they're good at writing code and they're working for Pepsi. And that's not fun. Who wants to work for Pepsi writing code? I don't even know what that means.
Well, but Diet Coke.
But yeah, for sure. Diet Coke, you stay forever. Yeah. But they want to go work for EA Sports Gaming.
Yeah.
Because they can do the same thing, but they're going to write code for an industry that they take part of every night when they go home and they play video games.
Okay.
I don't view it as somebody being like, and entertain me, boss man, dance, monkey.
So here's one of the hard things about benefits. I've softened a little bit on this in more recent years.
Okay.
But in my younger years, I would have never kept a job for benefits, ever.
Okay.
You know, I would have just found another way to get the benefits or, paid out of pocket or whatever. I mean, it would have been about the job for me.
Yeah.
What's happened is healthcare has become completely prohibitive to pay for.
Yep.
I mean, out of pocket, if you will, and could in fact destroy a family.
Oh, right? Yeah, big time.
And so now we do need insurance benefits. People need benefits. But I do think, and on 401ks and matching funds and all of that, that is a big deal. I mean, those are incredible benefits, right? But I also think that they can't supersede a good job.
Well, no. I mean, you can't just sit there because you're thinking, well, if the worst thing happens, this job allows me to be okay. Because what if you worked there for 40 years and nothing bad ever happened? And you just decided that, oh, I just wasted 40 years of my life on the belief on a contingency.
Therein lies the problem of the what if. I mean, it is good for us to plan for a rainy day. It is good for us to say, I mean, people do get sick. Medical bills do happen. People do want to be able to put more money away than they currently can. But benefits alone cannot be the answer. I mean, if you need to work for a company that provides you with good benefits, then look at all the companies that provide you with good benefits and look at your skill set so that you can be happy to go to work. I think it's interesting. I'm looking at this two different ways. I don't like his just comfortable thing. Their comfortable thing. Though I appreciate his appreciation of the benefits, right? There. I appreciate he's a guy in my head.
Well, they're a they to me.
Okay.
I don't see gender in questions that are asked by anonymous people.
You thought it was a girl.
I did, for sure.
So the benefits have caused him to question his job.
Yeah.
That's just so tenuous, right?
But isn't that the argument? Isn't that the exact reason why you should leave?
Yes.
You're leaving.
Yes.
You want to leave because this thing that's actually has nothing to do with your job is no longer there.
Right.
So get the hell out of there.
Right.
Go away.
Go away.
And then whether or not you're entertained at your next job or your next 4 jobs, who cares? But if the thing that's keeping you there is no longer viable, go away.
Right. I mean, so if you think about it, then whatever you can't get at your next place, because a lot of times what we will see are trends in industries. Mm-hmm. An airline does this, then another airline does it, then another airline
1,000%.
Right? So find the place where whatever stability is important to you, if benefits are, or what it is with the workplace. But I mean, I think the answer is in his question. He got too comfortable.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Go look around, buddy. Find something new.
Go get hungry again.
Go get hungry. Exactly.
Dear Debbie, I am part of a new team at my job and things are not going very well. There was consolidation recently that resulted in a small group of us being folded into another department. The way my new boss works is totally different from my old boss, and I'm having to figure out for myself because my new boss doesn't give me any instructions about procedures. I feel like I'm constantly stepping on landmines because I don't know what this boss expects. How can I smooth things over? I feel like we need to start all over again.
I feel like I lived that exact situation.
Oh, okay.
Daddy was the old boss.
Okay.
And then we consolidated. Then I got a new boss.
Who's the new boss?
The new boss was the woman that I told you.
Oh, I thought you meant like in your personal life. I was like, who's the new boss?
No. The new boss was kind of a
curmudgeon.
Like a mean. She was mean.
Yeah.
And I mean, she was mean. And then it turned out she had some serious mental health problems.
Oh, this is the woman who like disappeared?
Yes. And the one that we found out were on lots of kind of psychotropic drugs. Do you know what I mean?
Party.
So, again, managing upwards is super hard, right?
Totally.
And so
influencing upwards is what I believe we coined.
Yes, influencing upwards. If you have really had a couple run-ins with somebody where it hasn't gone right, then you owe it to them and owe it to yourself to go and say, we got off on the wrong foot. I mean,
but this doesn't even sound like it's a personality conflict. It's just the boss does it this way, which is diametrically opposed to the old boss. And now she has no footing. I again say she.
Well, and it could very well be, there's nothing like I was a favorite of Dad's.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
You think?
I was a favorite of.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I was a favorite of Dad's. And then I wasn't a favorite of anybody's. Right. That's a terrible feeling. And then I even felt like that I was somehow being punished.
Of course, which I'm sure you were. The woman was on psychotropic drugs.
So that is like the worst feeling. You can't make somebody like you. You can't make, but in the workplace, what you can do is do good work. That's what you do.
That's true.
You do good work. And if I'm not your cup of tea, then the cream is still going to rise to the top. Others are going to see that I'm doing a good job. Even other managers, other people in power are going to see that. If there's nothing.
But are they going to see it when the other people in power are cross-referencing with your boss who's like, she can't do anything without asking me? And everybody else gets it. Everybody else understands the assignment. And here comes little Doris, and little Doris always needs further explanation than everybody else. And I'm tired of LD. I'm tired of little Doris.
But here's the thing. We don't just work in those kind of silos usually.
Fair.
I mean, and so other people have situations with this where apparently little Doris doesn't ask them any questions.
True.
And she gets the instructions, and whatever content or whatever it is comes back is right and good. So, I mean, I've even seen those kind of situations happen where we go, Doris isn't going to thrive or survive in this situation, and what's her face doesn't like her anyways, so let's move Doris, right? I mean, those have to happen. But I think what you have to concentrate, is it miserable to agree? Yes. I mean, because it sounds like somebody is not your cup of tea, not your style, and you're not the favorite anymore, if that's the case.
Yep.
But still do your good work. And then I would say, if it doesn't look like it's going to get better, then, look for other opportunities. And I'm saying within your organization. Yeah. But I mean, I've worked at companies before where I was like extremely happy because I loved everybody I worked with. Then I was extremely not because I didn't like anybody I worked with. And then, I mean, eventually I found middle ground where, I liked some, I didn't like some, and it all worked out.
I was at Dinner Lab and I was they were transitioning leadership roles for a bunch of the management team. And now I was already getting burned out on my part of the company, but they had assigned a new guy who was going to oversee us. And I thought, there's no way in hell I'm going to work for him, or he's going to want me to work for him. And it'll be a bloodbath if we were to ever try to work with one another. So at the point that he came over, I knew I was transitioning over to an entirely different team, because it was going to be chaos. And that's one of the things I would say is at the point that that they're going to start consolidating stuff, the writing's on the wall, it's an office, all of you gossip, all of you can hear something, like you can read the tea leaves. This is hey, I hope it's going to work out thing. Even when you already know that person's people's opinion on that person, they've worked with him. They know that he says this and then expects you to go execute on it and doesn't really want to follow up with any more conversation. That's something that you should have done a little bit of your homework on to understand how he manages, how they manage. Because if that's not what jives with you and that's not how you can execute to the best of your ability, you should have done some homework to determine that's not going to be right for me. I should probably go somewhere else within this company, because at the point that they're consolidating, they're kind of hitting the reset button, and you get to go say to somebody, I don't know that I'm going to be valued in this position, but I think I can contribute here.
So when the company I worked for with Dad consolidated, he had said to me, it's going to consolidate like in 5 years. I'd been there for 60 days when it consolidated, went flying into his office and, started kind of rah, 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 rah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you better take care of me. You better make sure, blah, 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 da, 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 da. I will. I mean, let me tell you, there was a whole year of not taking care of me. Then there was a whole year of like ending up in somewhere new. And again, not taking care of me because I had to go work with this woman.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, consolidations, promises can be made, and you're still stuck with what you're stuck with,
That's true.
But it is, I mean, those things are hard. I mean, but you have to, it is that thing of you're not everybody's cup of tea. Somebody really liked you, enjoyed working with you. You liked that team. And now guess what? It all got shook up like a game of Yahtzee. The dice were cast and you weren't in the same place anymore.
Don't be sad that it's over. Be happy that it happened. Dear Debbie, one of my coworkers is a horrible prankster. He describes himself as a jokester, and he's honestly becoming a nuisance to the office. Possibly the worst part of his pranks is that they're too small to be considered real pranks. For example, I'll try to use my stapler only to discover that the staples have been taken out. Then I'll hear him snickering. Once he dropped 4 packets of sugar into someone's morning coffee. The pranks aren't funny. They just cause inconvenience around the workplace. I'm afraid
Why is it making me laugh?
Because that's great. I'm afraid if I insult his skills, he'll decide to take this pranking even further. Our boss laughs it off and says that this keeps the workplace lively, but I don't see anything funny about having to discover that he's taken all of the toilet paper from the bathroom and hidden it in a closet. How do I stop this? These mini pranks are driving me nuts.
We always take the side of the prankster.
Come
I know.
on.
So these people.
Harry, where's my staples?
So here's the thing. First of all, you could probably empty my stapler 3 or 4 times before I realized.
Here's what I know. Deb will have stapled 5 times thinking she stapled it and just move it over to the staple pile before she even knows there weren't staples in the first one.
100%. And then I'm like, hey, does anybody remember how to load this stapler? Yeah.
But this is why I actually think this is hilarious pranks, because he's just kind of gaslighting everybody.
No, he's not doing, it's not like, things are falling from the ceiling. He's doing it like the everyday, like
totally.
First of all, I don't take sugar in my coffee, but can you imagine 4 packs of sugar if you don't take sugar in, and you take a sip and you go,
that's sweet.
That's sweet.
And he's like, well, I only put the one in there, and then just walks away with a devilish smile.
And then you go, was there sugar in the cup and I didn't notice? I mean, it's gaslighting.
That's
for sure.
why these pranks are brilliant. It's one thing to go full blown Jim.
The toilet paper thing, depending on what was happening in the bathroom, I might.
Well, that could be bad. But it's like one thing to go full blown Jim from The Office and putting staplers in Jell-O molds. Like that's funny.
Right.
But the idea that it's just a small inconvenience that you do not know that you just ran out of staples, or that crazy Cookie Berry took them out when you left for work the next day. I just think.
So with these examples, I love him.
They're totally innocuous.
With the boss, because I see this guy going like this. Okay, so I can't take the staples out every day, but if the staples were to last for, let's say, 60 days, and I start taking them out every 20 days, like, is that too far? Is that good enough? I mean, because he's kind of hoping they never figure it out until they do, right? So there's a piece of it, like, like on the sugars, did he work up to 4? So the person every day was drinking a little more than they thought they were.
And all of a sudden they've gained 10 pounds?
Exactly. There's something brilliant about the thought that I think he's putting into this.
I 1,000% agree. I think people oftentimes, when they try to prank, try to go way overboard because they want that like big reveal. This kind of stuff, not only is it totally safe that nobody's ever going to get mad at you for it, like in a million years besides this person, you get to just kind of sit there and cross your arms and just be happy. Like, got him real good. Yeah. Because I just can't, like, what are you going to say? He took staples out of my stapler. We need to fire him.
Well, and I don't know what he did with them. Did he throw them away?
I don't know where they are.
If he threw them away, that's bad.
It'd just be like, if you're the last person to leave, he just takes everybody's chairs and just moves them all around.
It's harder now because we have less, like, things like paper clips and, stuff like that. But if you think of the days when, you had a thing of paper clips, just so, like, I can remember at one company I worked for, I felt like we were always looking for paper clips. There just were never enough. I don't know where they went.
People were making paperclip necklaces.
Exactly. And so can you imagine if just like every third day, all the paper clips in your desk were gone? Every third day.
Be great.
How many third days would it take? It would take a while to figure it out.
I swear.
I thought I filled it up, but maybe it wasn't this week.
Paper clips in here.
Yeah. But I did that. I had a lot of files yesterday.
He's the guy that would also just like go to your pens and take out the blue ink and put like red ink in the blue pen.
Yes.
Now, does that harm anything? No.
He might just take the thing out.
Oh, yeah.
And you go to
and you're just clicking.
So I want to say, I think he's a little bit of a genius. Would be there a time or two where he would annoy me? Yeah, but it might be worth it. And I think this is like Uncle Bob, that they got so upset with Uncle Bob's gift giving.
Oh, yeah.
All these people, like, come on, let's just. I agree with the boss.
I do. What I love though is that there is some actual terror in this writer's in this person's email. I'm afraid if I insult him, it's only going to get worse. Like he's just going to poke the dog, and he's going to be like, "Oh, you want your staples back? Yeah. Oh, okay. Now watch me super glue your hands to your table."
Well, and then the other thing, like if this guy is techie at all, I mean, did he see something on my phone, take a picture of that, and now it's everybody's screensaver the next morning?
I would be, and this is me. this would be one of the reasons I would want to get up and go to work.
Yeah, no.
To see
seriously.
what he did, to hear somebody like, oh my God, or come barging out of their office and just like, I would giggle. It would make me feel like I was back in elementary school giggling.
So I worked, this is a terrible story, but
okay.
I worked in the marketing department of an insurance company.
Sure.
And it was all, and I think I've said this before, it was all like, I felt like older guys and young women.
Okay.
Except for there was one woman that was much older than everybody that had been there for 1,000 years. And she was the one that knew everything. Mm-hmm. Nice as can be, super heavy smoker.
Yep.
And no lie, like I know she drank at lunch every day. Okay.
I mean, who didn't back then? You know what I'm saying?
So, but the drinking, I can remember a few of us going like, we'll just call her Mary. That wasn't her name, but do you feel like Mary is drinking a little more at lunch every day? Like she comes back and, and the first thing
she's high-fiving everybody. The blouse is a little more unbuttoned.
Really the first thing was Mary was in a super good mood.
Of course.
And she could be a crank,
Of course.
And so then it would be like, you'd save your stuff till after lunch to go talk to Mary.
There's a line at Mary's door as soon as 12:30 hits.
And then I think Mary really developed a bit of a problem. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then it became like, how much did she drink?
Yeah.
And all eyes were, all of us at least, all eyes were on Mary. Do you know what I mean?
Because here's what's happening. What Deb's not saying is we all had this conversation with one another, but we all knew we could get what we wanted after Mary drank. So we didn't say it to anybody else. So we could continue to benefit from her alcoholism.
We would watch each other one by one go up and say, hey, Mary, what do you think about? She'd go, oh, that's great. I'd go, Mary, you're the best.
You're the best, Mary.
Then we'd go back. But then there was the day that Mary fell asleep at her desk.
Of course.
And we're like,
inevitable.
Go walk by her. Is she still asleep?
Poke her.
Like, we would call each other on the phone, right? The landlines. Yeah. Go poke her. Did he see? And then we some executive VP walked by her.
And all of a sudden you guys are plotting the sequel to Weekend at Bernie's.
Exactly. We go, and she was little, like it could have been Weekend at Bernie's. And we said, John just walked by her. How did he not see?
And is it like head down on the desk?
Oh, head down, sound asleep on the desk. Mary is, and then one day the clinch, and then I do believe there was some conversation that I was not privy to, was Mary, and she was like little, so the chair really held her. And obviously everybody can't see me, but Mary fell asleep like this. With
like mouth, head back, airplane, mouth wide open.
Wide open, and out. And if you got within a foot of her, you could smell exactly what was going on. So, but
whatever happened to old Mare?
I don't know, but I'm going to say this. There were many months of entertainment for that to progress. And
how do you not?
Yeah.
How do you not? If that is like the perfect, it doesn't matter what age you are. Everybody knows the game. Everybody knows the rules. Mare Bear, not fun to deal with in the morning. Goes and ties a couple on at lunch.
Yeah.
Everybody gets what they want in the afternoon. Yeah. You ride that horse into the ground.
Yes. We love her.
Love it. Freaking-tastic. Great story, Deb.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
As we wind this podcast down, Deborah.
Yes.
What are you thankful for this week? Do you want me to go first?
Yes, please.
So one of the funniest things happened with you and I. You and I were driving. We had our very first DC drive in a while, mostly because we didn't ever want to be outside. But the winds shifted. We saw blue skies. We saw the mountains, and we realized we wanted to go drive around. And you said something to me you said, I want you to think you're as smart as we all know you are. And I looked at you. And I was like, do you think I think I'm dumb? And you're like, no, I just don't think you give yourself enough credit. And I said to you, Deb, I think I'm one of the smartest people I know. And I don't vocalize that because the last thing my ego needs is more inflating. But trust me, in no way do I think I'm dumb. So I appreciate you taking a moment to have what you think would be like a fairly difficult conversation with somebody who, in your mind, isn't as strong-headed about, hey, well, I'm smart. I can hang in here and I can do all this. When that's all I think, I'm sitting around here being like, why can't anybody keep up with me?
So I do think you're smart.
Thank you. Me too.
And I think sometimes in conversations you hold back, you know.
For sure. But that has absolutely nothing to do with me not thinking I can hang. It has everything to do with who wants to hear the 6'7" white guy who looks 24 talking about stuff that all of us have been engrossed in for years and he has no context to.
So one of the things that in that moment, you were 12 years old. I was speaking to my 12-year-old.
I knew it. I knew it. It's exactly what it was.
And it was like, honey, you are so smart. There is no reason for you to feel bad.
Yeah.
But then what happened is the 37-year-old appeared in the car and turned and looked at me because I think I even grabbed your arm.
Yeah, no, Deb, I was taken back to high school to have like a real pivotal life-changing moment where you're going to say to me like, I just want you to know whatever you choose to do in life, your father and I are going to be so proud of you. You have all the necessary tools to be successful in whatever you want. And then the music starts playing and the camera starts panning out and you change the channel from the Lifetime show. Like, I get all of that, which is why it was so funny to me.
Yeah. And then you look at me and you go, got no problem in that area.
Yeah.
Do you mean,
Trust me.
Yeah, because you're 37, right? Yeah.
If anything, I probably should tamp that down. Yeah. I should curb that conversation in my head. But I was thankful for that moment. It genuinely made my day. It was a great chuckle.
So I told everybody that I'd gone river rafting. You know.
Yeah, you did. Lots of laughs.
Oh my God, laughed so hard. So this river was. They said it was low. But what happened is because it was low, there were a lot of rocks, right?
Right.
And not where you'd get out. Because if you would, there was enough water that you still could have gotten knocked down, right? But you would kind of get stuck. You kind of got to wiggle past and go. So we got stuck on a really, really, really big rock. There's three of us, the person in the back, I'm in the middle, and the person in the front, right? So the gal in the front.
Is your thankful going to be the exact same thing as last week?
Was it that she saved my life?
No, but you've told a story.
No.
Oh,
this is specific.
Got it.
So the gal in the front steps out on a rock, and I'm like, oh, no.
Why did she step out of the raft onto a rock?
Because we were so stuck.
Oh, okay. She was going to get out and pull it. Got it.
Exactly. So, but I'm talking like one of the rocks next to her is taller than she is.
Got
it. And we're stuck with I'm going to say the bow of our boat going up.
Okay. So it's kind of, it's hit the rock and it's kind of gone aground a little bit. Yeah.
And it's turned us around. So downstream, we're going backwards if we were moving. Yeah. All right. She goes to shove us. Our boat turns really fast. And I'm like, oh crap. It is going to knock her into all these rocks. And it would have, and she's tall, but she's trim. It would have been like a feather knocking. She somehow avoided us doing that, loosened us from the rock, and the boat took off like a bat out of hell.
Without her?
Without her.
Okay.
So now there's two of us.
Now she's just stranded.
She's stranded on this pile of rocks in the middle of the river.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye. See ya.
No, within seconds, we're like 3 blocks away. So then we're laughing. You have no strength when you're laughing. So we try to go
and
back
by the way,
upstream.
Deb says as if it's the laughter that's causing her to not be strong to paddle upstream. Just in general, I know the makeup of the women who are on this raft. You weren't getting up even with her in the boat.
Okay, so we're trying. We can't. It's not happening. We just keep getting further away.
Clearly, nature's much stronger.
Exactly. So we finally, this husband and wife come by in a kayak, and they go, okay, they kind of scoot us over to the side of the riverbank.
Yeah, they're like, Jesus, these women are going to die out here.
Still like 3 blocks away. They see our friend, right? I mean, what would be, so it's this young husband and wife. They paddle straight upstream
of course.
Her. But they can only get so far because of the rocks. So I'm in a position where I can see her a little bit more clearly than the woman behind me, still laughing our guts out. I mean, at her
useless
peril.
At this point.
We're useless. So this husband was amazing. First of all, he was young. He was very good looking, and he was concerned, right? Mm-hmm. So he says, get off the rocks. The rocks are slippery. You're going to hurt yourself. And of course, she's like, get off the rocks? Right. No. And he's like, get in the water. Yeah. Get in the water. You know how you put your arms up, legs up, and it takes you downstream. And he goes, get in. And we don't hear him saying this, but we find out later this is what he's telling her. So this is from my perspective what I see. I said, oh, I think she's, oh my God, is she getting in the water? Oh, she's in the water. Oh my God, it's up to her knees. It's up, she's in the water up to her waist. Grab a camera. That's what I say.
There you go. There's Deb's. There's how Deb's going to contribute to the situation.
And so the girl
photograph it.
The girl behind me does, and I said up to her neck, and then she just laid down, and the guy coached her. She finally got to them, and then he brought her to us. So we have pictures of the whole thing.
Hilarious.
So the way I'm telling the story.
Yeah. What's the thankful for in this?
The thankful is that Trish took one for the team, knocked us loose. The other two were clearly going to live to see the light of day. It was questionable whether Trish was actually going to make it. She did, however, float down the river. We grabbed her. We got her in our raft once again. And so I'm very grateful, not only for the laughs, not only for the experience, not only for this darling husband, but that Trish took one for the team and saved our lives.
That your friend saved your lives and then saved her own life.
And that we photographed it for her so she would remember what a hero she was.
There you go. Deb's life perils. Make sure you get a picture of it.
Make sure you get a photo
Debbie,
all the time.
What is for dinner this evening?
So.
Oh. Here we go. The brains are ticking.
So it's still hot here. So you're going to have to help me with this.
It is?
It's still hot.
Well, I mean, it's like in the 80s.
I'm moving towards wanting to make a soup.
Do it. What do I care?
Make a soup? Okay.
Make a soup.
But you know what I kind of want to make?
Yeah.
I kind of want to make a ham and white bean soup. But, see, you don't like beans.
I don't.
What else could I do? Do you like split peas?
No. Oh, I like split pea soup.
I could do the split pea soup.
With ham?
With ham.
It's just honestly, I don't know what it is. Like, I know split pea soup is good and I know the ham is good with it. It just physically looks terrible.
See, I want to make something that sounds good to you.
I like split pea soup and ham. Absolutely. It just doesn't, like, I have to get over the initial look of it. It just doesn't look appetizing.
Do you like some of the little peas to still have some substance, or do you like it to be totally creamy?
I probably prefer creamy, but I understand the texture component of it, so I'm fine with it being in there.
But if we have ham in it, and if I put some carrots in, then I'm making split pea soup.
I hope it's going to be 95 degrees.
Making
split pea soup.
I hope not.
Split pea soup.
I'm dying for some soup.
Split pea soup.
Stop saying that.
Split pea soup. That's going to do it for this episode of Split Pea Soup. Remember to like, rate, and review wherever you listen to this Split Pea Soup. And as always, you can follow us on all of our Split Pea Soup channels at Split Pea Soup.
No, it's not at Split Pea Soup. At debandkev.com. At
Deb and Kev Pod. We do not have a website.
Okay, yeah.
And if you want, you can watch this YouTube. Reverse it. And if you want, you can watch this episode on our YouTube channel at Split Pea Soup.
No, at Deb and Kev.
Oh, Deb and Kev Pod. Mom, I love you to death. I just heard the doorbell, so we got to get out of here.
I love you too.
We'll see you guys on Thursday.
Thank you for listening to the Deb and Kev podcast. Remember to like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. Follow Deb and Kev on Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter at Deb and Kev Pod.